Hey guys, Coach Osborne here. We're going to be going over 6.3.2, the section about more elimination. So we're going to be looking at some word problems and we're going to be using elimination to solve them. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is let's go through this word problem and figure out the two equations that we need to solve. Okay, so let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it. Okay, so Phoebe was helping her mom buy gifts for her little sister's birthday party. There were 11 friends and attending the party. So when you hear 11 friends, you can almost think of that like a total. And actually, let's do that in pink because I like to do totals in pink. Okay. So that means there's like a certain amount of friends that add up to 11. All right. So dragonfly wings for the boys cost $1, while fairy wings for the girls cost $2. Okay. Well, those are two different factors that we need to account for, I'm sure. Dragon wings for the boys, which are $1 each, and then fairy wings for the girls, which are $2 each. Sorry, I meant to do that in yellow. Okay. Okay, so now Phoebe's mom spent $18 on the gifts. Okay, that's going to be a total. Okay, another total. So it looks like there's that's going to be one of our equations right there. Is one about the cost. And then of course, we always need to figure out what's the question. How many dragonfly wings and fairy wings did Phoebe's mom purchase? All right, so remember, get your variables from the question. So the question's asking about how many dragonfly wings and how many fairy wings. So there's our variables. D for dragon wings, dragonfly wings, and then F for fairy wings. That's what we're trying to figure out, how many of those each, okay? Well, every girl got fairy wings. Every boy got dragonfly wings. So if we add up, I'm looking at how many friends there are, if we add up the amount of dragonfly wings that she bought plus the amount of fairy wings she bought, that should add up to 11 because she had 11 friends. Okay, so that's the first equation. The second equation is about the cost. Okay, so for the dragonfly wings, each dragonfly wing costs $1. So 1 times the amount of dragon wings, that's how much it costs for those. But then we're going to add that to the cost of the fairy wings, and each of those was $2. So 2 times the amount of fairy wings. And all that added up to 18. So there's our two equations that we can solve. Okay, so now, again, there was that problem that we saw yesterday where I can't just add this side together because if I add these two, that becomes 2. And if I add these two, that becomes 3, but nothing eliminates. So I want to subtract here. And instead of subtracting, I'm going to show you something a little different. So instead of subtracting, what I could do is multiply this whole side by -1. When I do that, I'm going to multiply this whole equation by -1. And it's balanced. It's balanced because I'm doing the same thing to the whole equation. I'm basically going to multiply 1 here, -1 there, and there. Okay, so I'm going to change the equation by multiplying a -1, and you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. So now I'm going to rewrite both equations. So here's equation 1. And now here's the new equation 2. -1d. And remember, that d is just a 1. And that f is just a 1. Okay, we just don't write it. Okay, and then minus 2f, because it's -1 times 2f, and then -1 times 18 is -18. Now if I add the equations, those 1d minus 1d, that will go away. Okay, then 1f minus 2f, well, that's going to be -1f. And then over here, again, we're going to add those as well. 11 plus -18, or 11 minus 18 is a -7. Okay, so then let me bring this up here to the top. Okay, so now I have -1f equals -7, but I've got to get rid of that negative in front of the f, so I'm going to divide -1 both sides. So now f equals 7. So that's the amount of fairy wings, so 7 wings, but then I got to figure out dragon wings. Well, this one's pretty simple because it's just, if you bought 7 fairy wings and the total was 11, then that means it's just going to be 4. Or you could literally just plug this in if you want. Plug it into the f for the equation right there. Equals 11 minus 7 minus 7. because again, you're going to have to do this for more complicated equations too. You're going to have to plug it in. Okay, so there's the amount of dragon wings. So I'm actually going to write that out. And let's do it. Actually, I'm just going to put it right over here. So 7 for fairy wings and 4 for dragon wings. And what I'm going to do here, that you should be doing in every problem, is checking your answer. Okay, so I have 7 and 4. So here it's going to be, this one's pretty simple, just 4 plus 7 equals 11. That one's good. Okay, so then, but the next question, I want to make sure it works for that. So I'm going to plug in the D there. So 1 times 4, and then 2 times your F, which is 7. Okay, so that's 4, and this is 14. 4 plus 14 is 18. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so now let's go to this problem. So Rachel is trying to solve this system. Help her. All right, well, now we've got a similar issue. If I add this up, it still does not, one of these variables doesn't go away. So I've got to do something special in order to get rid of that. So let's go back here where I multiplied a -1, right? Well, I can multiply any number I want. Now, if I'm looking at the y, let's look at the y. That's a 1, and that's a 2. If I can get that y to be a 2, a positive 2, it will cancel with this -2y. So what I'm going to do is multiply this times 2, the whole equation, just like we did on the other one. Okay, so now I'll have 4x plus 2y equals 10, and I just bring down the other equation right underneath because I didn't change it. I didn't multiply anything. And now, if I add them, boom, those go away. And then 4x plus 3x is 7x. Okay? And I think I forgot to multiply this number. Because remember, so this is the common mistake I see other students do too. You multiply 2 there, you multiply 2 there, but you forget to do it there. So that should actually be 2 times 10, which is 20. Okay, so now 20 plus 1 is 21. Because it wasn't, I was about to say it wasn't going to make much sense. Okay, now divide by 7, x equals 3. But in this case, it's not a real situation, so you're just looking for x and y. You got to plug the x in to find the y. So I'll take the first equation. Doesn't matter which equation you choose. Okay, plug it into x. X is the first term, so x goes there. Plus y. Remember, it's just y there. Okay, so 6 plus y equals 10. Subtract 6 both sides, and y equals 4. Okay, now remember, if it's not a real situation, you need to write this as a solution or as an ordered pair, and you put x and y as a coordinate, and then don't forget to check your work. Okay, so you can see I jumped ahead and I checked my work, I plugged them both in, and this solution works. Okay, so now we're going to go down here. We're going to go to this problem about farm animals. Okay, so now it's again another problem where we have to set up equations and then solve them. So there are 21 animals on Farmer Cole's farm, all sheep and chickens. If the animals have a total of 56 legs, how many of each type of animal lives on the farm? So this requires a little bit of thinking. So first, let's go to this. First, we want to know how many of each type of animal. That's the first question. Okay, so that means that we're looking for how many sheep, and we'll call that S, and how many chickens, so we'll call that C. All right, so there's our variables. All right, so now let's go back to the problem. There are 21 animals on the farm, all sheep and chickens. So if I add the sheep and the chickens, S plus C, that should be 21. There's our first equation. Okay, now, if the animals have a total of 56 legs, how many are there? So there's a total of 56 legs. So let's think about this. The amount of sheep legs, first, let's look at that. Well, sheep have 4 legs, right? So we'd have to multiply 4 times the amount of sheep. Okay, now chicken legs. Chicken legs. Chickens have 2 legs, so we're going to add 2 times the amount of chickens, because it's for every chicken there's 2 legs. So there's our 2 equations we're going to solve. Okay, so now again, we're going to set this up. Let's put S plus C equals 21 right on the top there. And then the other equation, 4s plus 2c. Now notice again that these do not cancel out if I add them. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply this equation times. Now, if I multiply just a 4, that's going to be 2 positives. I want 1 negative, 1 positive, so I multiply negative. Okay, so now my equations are going to be, let me actually bring this step up here, negative 4s minus 4c, and then multiply the negative 4 there, so negative 84. Okay, so now I have 4s plus 2c equals 56, and now I add up this side, that cancels, and negative 4c plus 2c, that's going to be negative 2c. Okay, the negative 84 plus 56, okay, that's going to be negative 28. And then add up and then divide this by minus 2. And remember, you guys can always pause the video if you need to catch up. C equals 14. So the amount of chickens is 14. So we got to find now the amount of sheep. I'll just plug it into the easy equation. Or you can think about it like this. 14 plus what is 21. Okay, subtract 14, and S equals 7. So the amount of sheep is 7, and the amount of chickens is 14. So again, I went and checked my work to make sure everything's good. Everything worked out, so then there I have my answer. Okay? All right, that's it.